Thank you for listening. Fresno County is a big place, and it's usually a Republican place, and it's one of the battlegrounds in 2022 where the GOP really needs to pick up a win. In California's 22nd Congressional District, Supervisor Nathan Magsig is running. Good morning, Supervisor. Welcome to the Hugh Hewitt Show.
Good morning, Hugh. Thank you for having me on the show.
Would you run through for us, first, just give us the basics on you so we know where the district is, your background. People don't even know what supervisors are in most, but I blanket your county, so I want people to know about you.
Absolutely. So the United States has over 3,000 counties. Generally speaking, each county has 5 supervisors, and I serve the eastern portion of Fresno County. I have been on the Board of Supervisors for 5 years. I was on City Council and Mayor of the City of Clovis for 15 years prior to that. And I'm a licensed general contractor, been involved in building homes here in the Central Valley for the last 20 years. I'm a father of 3 boys, been married for a little over 20 years, and absolutely love this region. Fresno County is considered the breadbasket of the world. We're the number 1 agricultural producing county in the entire world. A lot of people don't think of California as having a region being able to do this, but in the Central Valley, which consists of about 8 counties, we actually produce more fruit and fiber than any other place. And looking at Fresno County alone, agriculture is about an $8 billion engine that drives our economy. So that's kind of me in a nutshell, and very excited to get involved in this race.
No, I love Fresno County. I go up there about every other year. They have a great every other year book event. They have a great Rotary Club, which I've addressed. I'm sure you've been to the Downtown Rotary Club of Fresno for a number of years, Supervisor. They have great Republican local elected officials. I do not know what happened to California 22nd because the Independent Commission, which is actually a Democratic front, did gerrymandering. So tell me about the 22nd. Where does it run? Who are you going to be up against? What are your odds?
So the 22nd Congressional District, of course, was held by Devin Nunes up until a few days ago. And so there's going to be a special election to fill the remaining portion of his term, and I'm going to be focusing in on that seat. But as you did state, we do have new district lines that are going to be taking effect next year, but there are elections that are going to take place this year to fill those seats. And as you stated, a lot of these new lines have absolutely cut the Central Valley and the entire state into pieces. So right now, I'm wholly focused on Congressional District 22 to fill that vacancy that's been left by Congressman Nunes. And as you know, Congressman Nunes has been fighting against a lot of crazy environmental laws out there, as well as individuals that really want to take our liberties and freedoms from us.
Well, you know, Congressman, before I retired 5 years ago, I was an endangered species lawyer in California for 30 years. That's one of the other reasons I would go up to Fresno, is because you got a lot of nutty endangered species controversies up there. But my question to you is are you running in a special under the old 22 lines or the new 22 lines?
The old 22 lines. So
okay, that's a Republican district then.
That is currently a Republican district, but that district is going to switch to a Democrat district. So CD 22 effectively is going to become CD 21. It's the Fresno County, Tulare County region. And so some of the most Republican portions of CD 22 are being carved off. A new seat's been created that's going to go all the way from Kern County up to Fresno County. And again, if you look at these new lines, it's been gerrymandered terribly. And but at the end of the day, I'm wholly focused on CD 22. I'm still waiting for a couple of decisions from other Congress people out there. I know Congressman Tom McClintock has not formally announced where he's going to be running, but after he does that, I will decide which seat I'll be running for after CD 22.
Now, when is the special election, which are the old lines and Nunes lines?
Great question. So the governor has 14 days to declare a special election and set the date. So the governor has not done that yet. And so I would imagine that the special election will be taking place April of this year.
Oh, so it would be a standalone. Is there anything else going on in April this year?
Nothing's going on, but as you know, we're going to be having our primaries in June for the new seats. So effectively what it's requiring me to do is run 2 campaigns simultaneously.
Wow. That's kind of an interesting political science issue. But it's good to have a supervisor because you'll know intimately the counties. I'm sure you know Kern County pretty well as well.
Absolutely, and I will say that back to environmental issues. One of the things that you brought up, being an attorney that's fought against some of this extreme environmentalism. About a year and a half ago, there was a fire in my district that just devastated many, many homes, and actually ended up being the largest single wildfire in the state's history. And one of my main issues that I really want to focus on is forest management. California used to be a leader and an exporter in timber, but over the course of the last 50 years, a lot of extreme environmentalism has closed down many of our mills and killed the economies in our mountain communities, and our forests have gone untouched, and so they've just grown out of control, and a lot of these fires have started on U.S. Forest Service lands and national parks, and of course they burn onto private properties and destroy people's lives. That on top of water, law enforcement. I'm looking at how many law enforcement officers out there are being demonized, and ultimately they protect us. So I'm very frustrated. I believe in smaller government, local control, and these are some of the things that I want to take with me up to Washington, D.C.
Now, you got to talk about water. Whenever I drive through the valley, I see the signs of the California Water Project's failure. Is it still a massive failure, Supervisor?
Absolutely. And right now, it's a perfect example. So we're seeing, we just had a record a record month in December with more snowfall ever recorded. And I'm looking at the fact that we don't have any place to store this water. So in a couple of months, what's going to happen when the snow begins to melt in our mountains is it's just going to flow out through the Kings River and San Joaquin River right out into the ocean. And so we need to be having more storage facilities. Devin Nunes was a great fighter for a project called Temperance Flat up here, which would hold back about 1.5 million acre-feet of water. But again, a lot of the environmentalists have fought against this, and they actually want to tear down a lot of the dams that we already have in place. Very frustrating. We need more storage, both dams, above and below ground storage. And unfortunately, there just isn't the will by many elected officials out there, and I'm going to take that fight to Washington.
Now, I've got a lot of friends up there. John Harris, who runs the Harris Ranch, is a buddy of mine. And a bunch of people always get involved, but the Democrats will throw a whole bunch of money at muddying you up, Supervisor. I assume, though, being mayor of Clovis, on the council of Clovis, being supervisor, you're kind of immune to attack politics by now, aren't you? Are you immunized against demonization?
Yeah, I will say I am. My skin is thick, but I've been hit before on different issues, a lot of things that have been made up. And at the end of the day, I am one who's very principled, so I'm going to continue to charge forward. So I wouldn't say I'm immune, but I've seen it before, and I try not to let it wound me too deeply.
So, Supervisor Magsig, you got 3 boys. I was the youngest of 3 boys, so as we speak, your youngest is getting beat up. Are they in public schools or private schools or homeschool?
My boys are in public schools. They go to Clovis High School, and I have one in middle school at Clark. And I tell you what, I love Clovis Unified School District. It's one of the larger public schools in California, and believe it or not, it is non-union. And it's been that way ever since its founding in 1960.
Are they the track superstars?
They are. They have one of the best track and field events that they put on here year after year, and schools from up and down the state come to Clovis to participate because the facilities are so fantastic.
That's in my distant memory. When my daughter was a cross-country runner, I remember that back in the day, but that was a long time ago. So generally speaking, is anyone running against you, or they figure we're not going up against a soup?
No, so there are Democrats that are lining up to run. I believe there's a couple that have that ran against Devin Nunes in the past that are looking to run again as well. But at the end of the day, I've received tremendous support out there. Our local sheriff, Margaret Mims, has stepped up, and she's very supportive of me. You mentioned John Harris, who has Harris Farms. He's been supportive. He had an event for me, and he and his staff have been helping me tremendously. So, I'm up for the challenge, up for the fight, and regardless of who runs, I'm gonna give it my best, and I'm gonna take my message of smaller government and local control. I'm gonna bring it right to the people, and at the end of the day, I believe that that's what the public wants to hear, and that's what I stand for.
What's the website, Supervisor Magsig, for your current special election?
So NathanMagsig.com. People can go to NathanMagsig.com and learn all about me. They can sign up. They can help contribute there. You can go on Twitter to Nathan Magsig CA. At Twitter, I would ask for your listeners to follow me, and to the extent they can be helpful, that would be great. And on Facebook, Magsig for Congress. That's M-A-G, S as in Sam, I-G, Magsig for Congress. On Facebook, that's how you can find me.
Now, one last question. Leader McCarthy is superintending Win Red. How is he both on the special and in the general with you?
You know, right now I've been talking to McCarthy's staff, and at this point what they're doing, they're waiting for the governor to call that special. They want to see everyone who's lining up, and what they've told me is raise as much money as possible and show strength. So that's exactly what I'm going to be doing. But again, I've been talking to his staff quite a bit. They've helped to guide me, and I've really appreciated that.
Supervisor, the Mag said, continue good luck. I'm up there in Fresno. I hope I'll meet you in person if events work out. I don't go to fundraisers because of the Washington Post, but I do get up there for events to cover them. Good luck to you. We got to get a good, strong candidate into the Nunes seat so that they can get some name ID and some immunization when